No, so the last time we talked about democracy, the differences are pretty dramatic when we start talking about democracy in one place and potentially democracy or lack of it in another. Culture is a big aspect of that.
What we're trying to do is unpack this Afghanistan thing. It's not just let's never do that again. It's what lessons do we learn? How do we move forward? And we have this tremendous reservoir of information in the reports generated by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction within the Defense Department, appointed by Congress, that has generated voluminous reports on things that have happened in Afghanistan. Just like last time, I'm going to really quickly review some of the quotes from the SIGAR report. Let me go this first one. First, okay, between 2003 and 2015, the U.S. government spent more than $1 billion on rule of law programming in Afghanistan. Approximately 90% of that funding going toward the development of a formal legal system. That system, however, was foreign to most Afghans, who favored informal, community-level tradition dispute resolution mechanisms, where an estimated 80-90% of civil disputes have always been handled. Okay, such informal systems are more familiar to Afghans, and the system is far more efficient. In the formal system, which they set up, cases could languish for months, despite all the money that we spent there. Positioning this traditional dispute resolution to compete with the Taliban would have put the United States dangerously close to endorsing principles that were politically untenable. A senior state advisor, Barnett Rubin, told SIGAR trying to compete with the Taliban's successful dispute resolution would have meant allowing Sharia. And that's not something we could do politically. Much like our economic agenda, which floundered on a political economy dominated by patronage networks, U.S. officials chose to pursue a vision for Afghanistan's justice system that reflected American values and preferences without sufficient regard for what was practical or possible. Now, that's just huge. I mean, so basically, we're going to take something approaching our legal system in that same genre, which, by the way, it took us decades, generations to develop, and we're going to implement that in a place that's used to tribal dispute resolution. And it failed miserably. Nobody trusted, and in the end, encouraged people to turn to the Taliban because the Taliban was still willing to do it the old way, which is the way they trusted. I mean, if that's not a great example of putting a round peg in a square hole, I don't know what is.
Well, I mean, as harsh as I've been about the concept of exporting democracy, the idea of putting a judicial framework on a plane and sending it over in whatever form that would be, and thinking that you're going to do that. I mean, I don't know if you could do that in some developed countries,
right,
let alone all the circumstances we're talking about. That's a very, very damning element of the report.